program. Tonight, America, this one of those nights. I want you to call a friend right now and tell them to stop what they're doing and turn on Fox News Channel. Tonight is a history lesson that you're not going to see anyplace else. It is the reason why this audience watches this show. Come on, we got a lot of work to do. America. Something happened to me during the show last night. I was listening to this bald communist that we played on the air last night, and it started my mind thinking that I have to explain something to you. We have to go back and learn a little bit of history because, well, let me show you. This is the clip that made me start thinking about it last night. Here's the bald communist.
We have to help bring this government down. We have to help destroy this system, and that requires increasing the alienation that working class and oppressed people feel. The way change is going to happen in this country is through the destruction of what we call the United States of America. I'm opposed to white supremacy, not because it's white people involved. I'm opposed to the system that we traditionally call imperialism, and the idea that some people have rights and privileges that are not granted to all human beings. And the solution to that problem is called communism and socialism, and we should put it in our mouths. We should say it when we say, what is your politics? I am a socialist. I demand that we have health care for people, and it's not a demand that's negotiable with insurance companies. We will take your insurance companies. We will take the farms in this country. We will shut down the military apparatus in this country, and I'm tired of being told to stuff my anger back in my pants.
Okay, this is the problem. You notice he says, I'm tired of a system where some people don't have rights. And then he says, and I will take your farms. I will take your insurance companies. You see? It's big government. It may sound peaceful and nice and utopian until it gets to the end. Now, this is a bald communist. I mean, it's a joke. But here's a communist in America, an American, who says trouble is coming, and they're going to take advantage of it. They're not going to help. Their job is to further it. The thing about this show that I think the mainstream media has never figured out, it is the very secret of the success of this program. It's why you watch. I don't talk down to you. I've promised that I'd never, ever waste a second of your time. I try not to. I was thinking about it this morning when I was brushing my teeth, how I didn't want to waste your time today. I know you're busy and you're tired. In exchange for that, you actually watch, listen, and pay attention. It gives us the ability to talk like adults and not in sound bites. I've been talking to you about the danger of progressives in both parties for some time, but people seem to get confused. They don't really even seem to get what a progressive is, and then they don't understand how a progressive can be on the left and the right. This communist last night prompted me to share something a little bit early. I'm working on a documentary, and I wanted to show you just a couple of pieces of it, or at least a couple of photos from it, because I think you need to know that danger is approaching and what it looks like. But it requires knowing history first. Taking ourselves out of the moment and look at this with a longer view. Do not look at this through the lens of Republicans and Democrats, the traditional left and right. You have to look at this separated from it to be able to see it. Last night I showed you this chart. I told you this chart, and I said to you that really here's your right and left, but it doesn't make sense because on the end of this chart is anarchy and the other chart is fascism and communism. Progressive government progresses to this. And here's the republic. I said left and right, Democrats and Republicans are actually up and down. I'll explain a little bit more. But what I'm going to explain tonight will give you an understanding of why people on the left call George Bush a fascist. They're calling him a Nazi. Republicans don't even understand that. You will in about 30 minutes. You know, when people hold up a hammer and sickle for Obama, they're saying he's a communist. And the people on the left don't understand that because most Republicans are not Nazis and most Democrats are not communists. The problem really is big government and where does it lead? How is it that so many people who voted for George W. Bush in 2000 and 2004 couldn't see any of the warning signs of big government? The Democrats did. I did. I pointed it out starting in 2004. Wait a minute, I've made a mistake. We're going too big of a government. This is wrong. But now the Democrats demonize me because I have the same problem with a big government that I had under George W. Bush. Is it because we've demonized the other side so much that we just expect the worst from them, but not anybody on our side? Or is it a combination of self-deception and lack of knowledge of history? Have you ever heard the phrase, those who don't know history are destined to repeat it? Well, it's true. And if we don't understand this, we're going to repeat it. I've been warning for the last 7 years. Government is going to get too much power. And when it does, all it takes is fear and hunger. Do you remember when we debunked that FEMA camp hoax? This is where, George Bush was going to round up everybody and throw them in FEMA camps. And I remember it during the Bush administration, people were saying that. And then all of a sudden it became Obama. It became a thing of the right. Oh, FEMA camps, they're going to round up. Obama's going to take everybody and throw them into a concentration camp. It was on this episode. When was this? Last year, March 6th of last year. It was on this episode that we told you this started under Clinton. They've been switching parties over and over again. The hoax, the conspiracies work for about 10% of the population, maybe 5 to 10% of the population. The people that say that we didn't land on the moon. And it goes back and forth from one side to the other. And it works on about 10% of the population that's afraid of big government. Well, you should be afraid of big government. Just not all government, but big government. It's not really what our founders even intended, and it doesn't ever work. If people now in Washington say that people in the Tea Parties, they just hate government and they're afraid of government, they think government's evil. Well, yeah, George Washington said government is a necessary evil. It's like fire. It's good while you're the master of it, but not if it's the master of you. I don't think everybody in government is evil. The problem is progressivism. It's a cancer. You've heard me say it before. It's baby steps. The root of the word is progress. Well, progress towards what is the question? Some sort of utopia where everybody just somehow or another behaves all of a sudden, and so we don't need any laws? Well, if we were moving in that direction, why is our government growing? We need to seemingly, as we make progress as individuals and as a society, we need more and more government. But that's not progress. The farther we move towards that kind of progress, it seems more man devolves. We only need more government because we have more problems. We're not being responsible for ourselves. How many times do you like, well, wait a minute, don't do that with that guy. He was dumb, let him fail. That's not progress. At some point, at the end of this staircase, the problems are so big that the government just has to rule all of it because no one will take care of themselves. That's why when President Bush was in office, the Democrats started to feel something was getting out of control because they call it fascism. They say that Hitler was on the right. No. Again, let me go back to the scale. Fascism and communism are the same. It's total anarchy that is on this end. Here's the republic. Here's a progressive government that leads you to either fascism or communism, depending on who has charge at the final moment of crossing over. I can promise you, it may not be a Nazi or a communist, but total government will control everything in your life. And the people fear on the right that it will be fascistic in nature. What everyone on the left is afraid of is some sort of government. It'll be some sort of Christian zealot state, clinging to God and guns, a religious zealot jail of sorts. But we already have that example on the planet to look at. What does it look like? Iran. This guy. This is total government on the right, if you will. Total religious government. It's amazing to me every time I see this guy there. They're not afraid of him on the left. They're not afraid of him. They think he's ridiculous, but they are afraid of only that possibility here with people like this. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. He's scary. I don't think that's Jerry Falwell. I mean, I know they look alike, but that's Jerry Falwell. Jerry Falwell. There's a difference. There's a big difference. But that's what the left is afraid of. We're going to have Hitler, a fascist, or we're going to have Ahmadinejad or, Jerry Falwell, and we'd have total government. We'd have total government. Let me put it over here. Here's on the right. We'll have total government. That's what they're afraid of. Okay? Then on the left, we have the fear of this, communism. We have Mao, and we have Lenin and Stalin and Castro and Chavez. That's what they're afraid of over here. We have all of them. Do we have Pol Pot anywhere? I love good. You don't often get to use. Yeah, there you go. You don't often get to use a good picture of Pol Pot. These are all fun guys. This guy's doesn't belong here. These are all fun guys too.